Welcome back, my beauties. If your home looks good but still feels off, the problem isn't your decor, it's your layout. These 7 layout mistakes are ruining your space more than you realize, and most people have at least one of them. Today, we are going to change everything so that you too can have a very beautiful, well-decorated home, and your space will finally feel as good as it looks. First is not having a foyer or a transition space. So the absence of a foyer or a proper entry transition immediately impacts the flow and experience of the home. Now, I understand that many of us don't have foyers, and even though the architecture did not dictate a foyer, we can try and create one. So stepping directly into the living room is jarring and disorienting. It doesn't give the visitor or the homeowner psychological or functional pause, shall we say, between the outside world and the sanctuary of home. So from a practical standpoint, you lose the ability to create a catch-all zone for coats, shoes, keys, umbrellas, and then this leads to clutter spreading throughout the main living areas. So my suggestion would be, even in small spaces, define a foyer using flooring transitions, calling in treatments like furniture or a console or a mirror. Use visual cues, even like a rug, light fixture, or a narrow bench to mark the entry zone. And this can be done so easily. Consider adding a partition wall or a freestanding screen for subtle division. The next big issue that I see across the board that should immediately be eliminated is seeing a toilet in full view from your entry. That is just not a good look. And if it's happening to you, well, we need to make a change immediately. Or in fact, if you have a toilet view from any significant space, like the dining especially, or the kitchen, or living area. So it really undermines a sense of elegance and privacy in the home, and it creates visual discomfort and awkwardness for both, not only the residents, but especially the guests. So psychologically, this setup gives a sense of overexposure and poor zoning. Fundamentally, it's really part of interior planning, and if for unknown reasons you happen to have a full view of your toilet from a major room, always try and redirect that sight line. So in those unfortunate instances where you have this situation, there's very little you can do without really doing some construction, but one thing you could do is maybe change the swing of the door. So I'd rather have an unusual door swing rather than see a toilet. So if your door has to swing out, but then you don't get to see a toilet, maybe that's better. So another thing you could do is maybe do a frosted glass partition in a way, if that's possible, depending on where your toilet is. And really I guess the worst case scenario would be to change the location of the toilet. If you haven't subscribed, now would be a wonderful time to give this channel just a little bit of love, like I give you guys, so it would mean a lot. Just a quick subscribe, a like, or even a comment helps the algorithm, and it would be tremendously wonderful, and we would be very grateful. So let's get to the next issue: lack of privacy in a primary bedroom. I see that time and time again, and especially if you have small children, you do not want them to accidentally see things and be scarred for life. So when the primary bedroom opens directly off of a living room, it sacrifices the restful, retreat-like feel that a primary suite should offer. And especially there's going to be noise and activity from social areas that can disrupt your rest. It's uncomfortable. There's lack of boundaries between public and private zones. It just makes the home feel disorganized and flat in its spatial hierarchy. So every room is just another box off of a larger one. So my suggestion to this dilemma is, if designing from scratch, of course, ensure that the bedroom wing is physically separated with a hallway or a corridor, or perhaps as you open the doors into the primary bedroom, there's a wall which allows you to enter from the right or to the left. I mean, there are lots of architectural solutions for that. In existing spaces, maybe you want to insert architectural solutions like sliding panels, half walls, or clever furniture placement to simulate division. Even small gestures like a decorative screen or a bookcase can enhance privacy and spatial layering. Next problem area that I see a lot are guest bathrooms off of main living areas. So when a powder room or guest bathroom is situated directly off of a kitchen, dining, or living space, it compromises privacy and comfort, in all honesty. So sound, smell transfer, as well as the self-consciousness of guests make it one of the most consistently regretted layout flaws. So it also breaks, in all honesty, it breaks the visual and sensory harmony of a carefully designed living area. So what would I suggest? Well, what I would do is position the guest bathrooms closer to transitional spaces like hallways or stairwells. Install vestibules or double door entries to create a buffer zone. When remodeling or new construction isn't possible, I would use soundproofing materials and install high quality exhaust systems to mitigate the downsides. Now, if you have doors placed in the middle of a room, that could be a problem. So a door placed dead center in a wall disrupts furniture placement, symmetry, and the room's usability. So it interrupts visual flow, it can render significant square footage underutilization, and poor door placement often stems from builder grade planning without foresight into spaces. And this actually also happens in non-builder grade. It just happens accidentally in all types of architecture. I have seen it time and time again. And what I love to do is shift the door to a corner or an end of a room, and certainly not right in the corner, but give it a little bit of breathing space. And sometimes you might want to opt for pocket doors or sliding doors in tight spaces to minimize this kind of swing clearance. I know pocket doors can be problematic, but there are some very good new solutions and new materials, new track, new glide systems that are really going to help you create better furniture placement by moving your doors or creating pocket doors. I cannot believe how many of you I have actually met and how wonderful each and every one of you are. I am floored by the amount of love that I've been getting and giving, and it's all through our calls. So if you guys are at a loss as to what to do in your home, maybe you have problems with furniture placement, or maybe you're about to build the kitchen of your dreams and you're just not sure. Whatever it may be, you can easily call me. I'm here. I'm always here for you guys. And I can be reached easily by clicking the link in my description section. My calendar pops up. You can pick 25 minutes or longer, and we can definitely dive into your dilemmas, whatever they may be, and find solutions on the spot. Let's talk about another main issue that I see: only one window in a main room. One of the most critical elements in interior design, a room with a single window often suffers from poor light distribution and feels unbalanced. And it also limits ventilation, views, and the sense of expansiveness, and you feel just crowded. And especially in larger rooms and primary bedrooms, I see this all the time. And sometimes when people are remodeling, windows were not as prevalent in the 50s and 60s. Windows were smaller. People wanted more privacy. People did not want expansive windows. And so the visual connection to the outdoor was far reduced, which can affect mood and make the space feel confined. So what can you do in those instances? Well, you can add skylights. Yep, skylights are really wonderful tools that you can invite into a space. It can bring a tremendous amount of light. It can also transform a room that you didn't think could be transformed. So in my recent project that we developed for my flip project, we had this issue in the kitchen. We eliminated this long, narrow window that was really taking up coveted wall space, and we replaced it with a door that was glass, but then it still felt dark. So then we added a beautiful skylight, and we centered it between the island and the main island that had our sink, and we did it right in the middle, right in the work area between the two islands. And it is a long, linear, beautiful, and I'll try and drop in a photo if I can, but it just brought in so much light into the space and just cleared it up. And it's not an expensive thing to do if you have a good woodworker, carpenter, roof guy. It really is something that's doable. Another way to combat this is to use mirrors and reflective surfaces to bounce natural light deeper into the room and create this faux window. What I also recommend is to reposition your furniture and heavy drapery so that you let as much light in as possible. I do have to apologize for my voice because I have lost it. I've been doing too much talking, so if it sounds off, it really is my terrible voice. Okay. What is another dilemma that I see a lot of? Well, that's just too much of an open space. So while open plan layouts are praised for their light, airiness, and social flow, too much openness, as you guys know, can make a space feel really chaotic and unfocused and just can give you agoraphobia, quite honestly. So there's often no clear delineation either of zones. So there's kitchen noise, there's mess, there's kids in one side of the house making, toys and crafts, and then you have the adults in another room, making noise as well. There's lack of visual boundaries, and quite honestly, I find it very difficult to decorate these spaces. So as life evolves, particularly with more people working from home, the need for acoustic and visual separation is more and more crucial, and it's so much more beautiful, in my opinion, when you discover a room rather than just walk in and realize and see the entire house with one full sweep. So what can you do? I definitely love to incorporate in these areas sort of zoning strategies like rugs, ceiling drops, partial walls, triptychas, paravans, what do you call these things? Room dividers. Perhaps use double-sided bookcases. Open double-sided bookcases are always great because it creates a faux wall between two rooms, and now you've separated two rooms with one bookcase, and then you can decorate it beautifully. So glass partitions are also great. You could do fluted glass partitions, slats to maintain openness while offering structure. So think of connected pockets instead of like a free-for-all. Each space should have a sense of function and intimacy. Now, these revisions don't just improve aesthetics, they restore flow, comfort, and human-centric logic to our homes. Great design considers not just where you walk, but how you live, breathe, and rest within your space. I hope these suggestions made sense to you guys. And if there are other rooms or other dilemmas you are having, share them with me so that we can tackle them head on for you. We want to find solutions to your biggest problems, whether it be layout or choosing colors. And so we always love to hear suggestions as to what episodes are going to be of most use. Thank you so much for watching and being part of our community. I love you guys. And don't forget, we have our vlog on Saturdays under a different channel. So if you're interested in behind the scenes, which I think you would be if you saw them, there are a tremendous amount of fun. We're laughing, we're setting up, we're working, we're traveling. Everything happens behind the scenes. And we will link the new vlog in our description section. I can't wait to see you guys again next week on this channel, The Red Elevator.